Hey everyone, my name is Cole. I am an admin of Semper Metallum and one of the founders. Today we have a very special interview with the lead vocalist of Diamond Construct. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Kynan. I'm the vocalist of Diamond Construct, which is like a metal band from Australia, and it's really good to be here. Can't wait to jump in and talking about the new release.
Diamond Construct's sophomore album, Angel Killer Zero, comes out April 26th. I've luckily been able to listen to the album early, and I'm just going to say it up front. It's a masterpiece. I adore it. It is absolutely incredible. But to open up with a question, I want to ask, what's the story behind your upcoming record? Mainly like the themes, messages, and just the process in general.
So I guess the aesthetical sort of theme behind it, weirdly enough, came to me in a dream. In early 2023, I woke up with kind of like the concept for the album art and the name Angel Killer Zero. And I sort of didn't tell the boys for a couple of weeks. I let it sit with me, and it was just on my mind and just thinking about the music video sort of concepts we could add with that. And it just seemed to really fit the vibe. So we just went with that. And well, basically as well with the lyrical themes and the story behind that to tie that in. It's all about sort of the stories about myself and my brother, who I'm really close with in the band. He plays guitar, just about, loneliness, addiction, struggling with like just anything in life like that. And more recently, sort of in the last 3 to 4 years since DCX2. So it's kind of like a compilation of everything sort of put together in like in a package that goes with the album. So that's sort of what the themes are about.
That's awesome. And when I was listening to the experience, like you were saying that you had kind of like these visions, like this general idea for how everything will look from the music videos to songs. And I don't know, maybe this is just me because I'm a huge like sci-fi media fan, but I felt like there was a lot of ideas of the immersive listening experience. Like you guys were almost telling a story throughout. And personally, it reminded me a lot, at least narratively, of something kind of like Blade Runner or Cyberpunk. With the atmosphere it set. Was there any like connection with the story that you told there, or am I just kind of going crazy?
Yes! No, like it wouldn't be that sort of personally. I am a huge sci-fi fan as well, and anime and video games. And like my favorite video game is Final Fantasy. And I just love the elements of like love and heartbreak and loss and, struggling to find yourself and all of that sort of thing. So I thought that really connected well as a storyline. And for myself, it's kind of like using that as a inspiration to lay down a platform to then write a story with our songs, because we haven't done a full length in, I can't even remember, what was it, 2018? We did, I
believe it was
the self-titled.
2018 or 2019 was the
2019 it was, yeah. So long ago now, and I feel like we were different people. And on that release, we were kind of it was almost like just a compilation of what we were doing at the time. But this one is more of a body of work, and it needed a solid platform with a story and the concepts sort of tying together. So I draw mainly inspiration from, animes like Evangelion and video games and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the inspiration for that.
Yeah, and like I was noticing, like, I don't know, it just seemed very influenced, and I can definitely see like the anime aspect to it. I just kept like when I kept hearing the artificial intelligence kind of like female voice, the way it was modulated kept reminding me of kind of that aspect of like in Blade Runner Cyberpunk, they tackle the ideas of relationships with like artificial intelligence, and like kind of the duality of that, where sometimes in real life there's relationships that we just can't be with, that we can't even understand. So there's a lot of songs, especially like Clickbait, which is near the end of the record. The chorus in that has been hitting me really hard.
It's a big one.
And speaking of courses, I think that you guys absolutely nailed it with your implementation of them, with the cleans mainly. I re-listened to all of your discography before this call today. And something I noticed about your self-titled, which I love, has been one of my favorite records for years, is the track Morphine Eyes is one of like the only choruses in it. And I've always been so fascinated with that. And I was like, man, like your clean vocals are incredible. And of course you have like the instrumentation, the atmosphere to build upon it. And I was so darn happy with songs like Faded and Clickbait that implemented that. And it just created this really there's a lot of depth to the vocals, and I just was so happy that you guys built upon that. So,
Thanks, man. That we get like a lot of comments or DMs and messages and everything, being like, when are you going to do another Morphine Eyes, or when are you going to
mhm.
sing again and stuff like that. And it was kind of hard on DCX2 because we only had the 4 tracks to work with. So we wanted
Yeah.
like a very direct, put together sound. And it just so
Mhm.
happens that it didn't have room to fit any of that stuff in. But doing such like a long release like Angel Killer Zero, we felt like we had the opportunity to implement everything in our toolkit. And I feel like when we do choruses, we want it to hit and hit
Oh
well
yeah.
and just sit there. So we didn't want a chorus in every single song. We didn't want to kind of mash up this sound and kind
Mhm.
of have, oh, here's your chorus with the singing, here's your breakdown. Like if it called for it, the song would be dedicated around that.
Oh yeah.
And then we didn't have to visit that in like another song. So that was definitely a focus because Diamond Construct for us is such a broad sound
Oh yeah,
that
it is.
when you go to it, it needs to be nailed, and then you can kind of forget about that and move on to the next sort of area in our sound.
And I was noticing that. I kept thinking about that all day, is that Angel Killer Zero, at least to me, is the perfect balance between diversity in your sound and also cohesiveness, where if songs lean into others. And there's not a song that sticks out like a sore thumb where it's like, oh, I feel like this should have been placed 2 songs later,
Yeah,
or like this doesn't even sound like the band. And I think a big issue with some bands in the scene is that a lot of people, like you always will probably see in comments, where it's like, oh, why'd you go from metalcore to like radio rock, arena rock,
yeah,
I think you guys have had that perfect kind of progression where you went from this metalcore sound to introducing trap elements, and then of course mastering your production quality and building upon that. And
yeah.
what was the biggest step for you guys that you had to take as a band to progress your sound?
Going back to DCX2, that was kind of the first release that we implemented all of those trap elements and
Mhm.
the electronic sounds, and it ended up being like a really big release for us. It kind
Mhm.
of pushed the boundaries, and we started to get bigger tours, and we finally were starting to write the music that we wanted to write, and get some recognition for it. That was a thing that was really nice to see. I mean, when
Mhm.
we started this band, we never cared about success. We don't care about being famous or anything like that. It was all about staying true to ourselves and finding a unique sound. So fast forward to writing Angel Killer Zero, we definitely kept those not rules, but kind of like in the back of our minds, that's what we still want to do, is just write
Mhm.
music for ourselves. And we probably had, I would say, maybe 70 to 100 demos
Wow.
that was scrapped
Release
in
them all.
between. we
Release
we
them all.
probably we'll probably do like a rare tracks or something one day
Yeah.
just to YouTube or
Like
something,
B-side or
But
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, B
Mhm.
sides and all that. But so we were experimenting with the sound for Angel Killer Zero for a long, long time. There was a lot
Mhm.
that was scrapped because writing a completely new platform, but trying to take elements from the self-titled and DCX2 and even Hit It Back was so hard to blend together because it's
Mhm.
such a diverse sort of catalog. So it was kind of like hitting the drawing board every single day or every single week, and then sitting on it for a few weeks, and then coming back and revising the songs, cutting songs, finding what worked with us, and then really taking the reins with that. I think probably the first song off the record that really solidified a place was the opening track, Hashira.
Oh yeah.
Once that
Hits
one was written,
incredibly hard. I was not ready for that because I know Jinx was a second song, and when I heard that, I just was blown away. It like kind of flipped the table.
once that song was written, I think it definitely laid a solid platform because it had everything that we wanted to do on the heavier side of things, and sort of all the tracks after that kind of stemmed from that sort of vibe, and we knew where we were going. So that was good.
What I love about the new record is I thought this about your stuff self-titled for years. Like I literally that's one of my favorite records. The breakdowns and riffs and that are insane. But something that I felt like I even enjoyed more with Angel Killer Zero is that how it's endlessly repeatable and replayable. Like I cannot stop listening because I felt like the way
Yeah,
you guys organize the soundtrack and like the pretty much everything how it flows is so easy to listen to, and especially when it goes into songs like Faded that have that different song structure than you guys like traditionally do, where it has that
yeah,
chorus. I just love that you guys don't copy and paste. You don't go around and be like, okay, we need to have a chorus in this song and a breakdown here. Like you always
yeah,
you deliver on such a diverse like array of sounds, and and it's chef's kiss, you know.
I
So,
appreciate that, dude. I guess something that we really focus on and pride ourselves on a little bit is, I mean, like, well, we've been writing songs since we could hold a guitar. It's always been like the endless struggle of writing, like, you know, a good structure, because I think that it doesn't really matter like what's in the song as long as it's structured well, you're going to have a good song. And that goes with pop music, that goes with
mhm,
deathcore, death metal, whatever you want to do, progressive rock, whatever calls for the song next or how it's packaged, it needs to be right. And that's something that we really focus on more so than some of the actual parts that are in it is how it's
mhm.
going to be structured and how it's going to be delivered. So that's nice that you picked up on that.
Yeah, I was like, literally, I this is so far my favorite release of the year, and there's been a lot of amazing releases with like Knocked Loose and like Moths to Flames. I want to ask, is there a specific song on the record that has an important message or story that you would like to share? Like personally
Yeah,
for me, Faded's been hitting me very hard, not just because of the melodies and like
yeah,
the riff and the breakdown at the end, but I just think that's such a well made and beautiful and like almost intimate song.
yeah.
And I just was wondering, like, off Angel Killer Zero, like, what is the song that kind of means the most to you?
It's hard because it changes week to week because they all hold a place in my heart where it was a time in my life and I can look at each song and
Mhm,
resonate with it, sorry, so well. But at the moment for myself, I really like Zodiac Memories. I feel
mhm.
like personally just because it's such a hard-hitting song and it's a really like metal kind of fast song. I feel like the lyrics for that one just fit with it so well, and the
Yeah.
story behind, you know, being out on tour and just feeling like so isolated when there's so many people around, and
Mhm.
just feeling like you're going through something that you don't feel like you're going to get out of, and it's just, and then the end breakdown hits and it kind of takes you to this new place of like this low point in your life. But it's not about like highlighting that, it's more about I want people to resonate with that so that they
Yeah.
don't feel alone in that kind of, if they're going through something like that. And so
Mhm.
lately Zodiac Memories has been really hitting hard for me.
Yeah. Every single song on the record is a bop, like straight up, you know.
Sweet.
And I wanted to ask, so you guys have probably the one of the best like riff and breakdown games in the entire scene. Like I don't know how you guys
Well,
with your pedals and just the diverse array of sounds and the intensity because I've tried to like learn some of your songs on guitar. I'm terrible.
yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But I was wondering like what is your writing process? Do most of your songs start with riffs or breakdowns or is it mainly a lyric sense or is it just a of course probably like ver, an array. I can't speak.
Sometimes it's different. There is times
Mhm,
when I'm writing a song that it'll start with a vocal hook and go
mhm,
from there, or like a voice note of a riff or a section from our phones. A lot of the time as well, we will have a riff idea and kind of build off that, or it might be a breakdown or something like that. So
mhm.
we've got the pedal board always set up in the studio. We've just got a like a bedroom studio which we recorded Angel Killer Zero in
Yeah.
for the most part, except for live drums
Mhm.
and vocals too. I did those in the studio. We hit the pedal board pretty hard,
I
and
can
we're really
tell. Like,
yeah.
there's some moments, like especially in Delirium. Oh my gosh! Like I thought you guys broke the amp.
Yeah, that was one of Braden's songs, and
Mhm.
I'm so lucky to have a brother and best friend that is like, I think he's the best guitarist in Australia for in the genre that we're in.
Yeah, I could probably agree with that. Like, it's pretty incredible what he does. Like
Yeah,
for these last like 5 years in general that I've been following you guys, I've just been blown away by every single release.
yeah, he's just insane, and he might not be the most technically gifted, you know, shredding solo guitarist or whatever, you know, but his uniqueness and his creativity is something that like I adore every single day, and
Mhm.
it pushes me to be better as well. And I'm sure he would say the same thing about the other guys in the band. And
Mhm.
working together just feels like we push each other, and the competition is healthy. So
Yeah.
when, you know, he'll write a riff and I'll just be like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm just blown away. And then, you know, 2 months later, I'll come in with a section or a riff or a breakdown on something, and he's like, all right, now I need to hit the studio real hard. And
Yeah.
you get better. Like it's always about finding like a new level with our riffs, and I guess that's just why they end up sounding like just like alien invasion or something. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's literally out of this world, pun intended, sorry.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
With the metal scene in general, it's not all about solos, I feel like that's usually people think of that as, oh, this is how you've mastered the guitar, but at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's what you make of it and
yeah,
creating your own style, and no one's doing what your brother's doing,
yeah, for
and it's
sure.
still like having a time like when you step on a pedal or like organizing all that mess. Like Mateo, one of our admins, he's shown me his pedal board. I get like nauseous looking at it because I can't even begin to like comprehend,
Yeah, there's a
it's
lot
such a
going on in that
talent.
world. Well, I remember, I think we were doing like maybe Psychosis or Enigma or something like
Hmm.
that back in the day. And we were on set in the music video. And I just remember Colin, like our videographer, who's done all of our music videos, sort of said to Braids, like, you guys do everything to not play the guitar. And that was like a big compliment to us because it's like, well, yeah, we want to kind of reinvent the way that the guitar is sort of perceived,
Hmm.
and the way that it's blended with the electronics. That's how it kind of gets those really weird sounds.
Yeah, it's game changing. Like there's some of the most recognizable breakdowns I've ever heard on this record, and there's not one time where I'm like, oh, this sounds like this. No, this is Diamond Construct Angel Killer Zero. you know.
Awesome. No, I
Um,
appreciate that, dude.
Yeah. And I want to kind of take a step back. You mentioned Enigma, which is one of my favorite songs like of your
Yeah,
entire discography. And something I love is the scream, like the vicious scream at the end of like that final breakdown. As a
yeah.
vocalist, like what have you had to do to like keep your voice and your vocal cords like in shape, preparing for this record, tours, all that?
Oh man, it is a constant daily battle. Some days it's just not working. Some days you wake up and you're like, I can take on the world. Like
Yeah.
take me to Wacken, I can do it today. But
Hmm.
it was hard. Like the Angel Killer Zero recording process was probably the hardest thing I've ever done vocally.
Hmm.
I was doing Thursdays to Sundays every day in the studio for like 6 weeks, and that's including like re-recording and
Yeah.
overdubs and everything like that. And I was really struggling because it was only giving me 3 days in between to recover, and that's
Hmm.
nowhere near long enough when you're doing like big 6 to 8 hour sessions on the vocals.
Yeah.
So there's some things where I'm still not completely happy with on the album vocally, but it is what it is. And, I guess at the end of the day, my brother sort of, when we were editing it together, and he was like, well, it's unique, it's raw, like it's organic.
Yeah.
That's how you were. So that emotion of like frustration sort of comes through. And I guess that's something where I'm like, okay, now I'm happy with that.
That's a great
So,
save. I love that. Like,
yeah.
yeah. I was like, and that's true. Everything's kind of being built around autotune as that tool is kind of getting better and advancing.
Yeah.
And like I promise you, I thought the vocals were perfect. Like
Oh, cheers,
I
man.
loved it. Like
Cheers.
especially when you had those moments of like kind of the clean vocals that I loved so much from Morphine Eyes and adapted them here. I just kept pacing around my apartment yesterday listening to some of these songs, and I felt like I literally just time was passing because I was so immersed in not just the
Yeah.
story you guys were telling, not just the incredible like guitar and instrumentation, but the vocals as well. I felt like they were so well done and everything was timed very well. They're so diverse. I wasn't getting bored. Like, just know that I think you guys did an absolutely incredible job and the vocals were incredible. So,
Thanks, mate. I do appreciate that.
mhm.
It's one of those things as well with vocals. It can be so overlooked because a lot of bands will just do the classic metalcore sort of phrasing over everything, and
Yeah.
oh, here's the punchline. Okay, now we've got this guitar riff. Let me go back to a fast vocal thing, and
Mhm.
I just really dislike the sameness that a lot of people sort of do.
Yeah.
So for myself, when I'm writing vocals, it's all about being, what can I do the exact opposite that someone would think I would do, and then sort of explore every sort of realm. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I'll try rapping it. I'll try screaming it. I'll try doing some lows, some highs, or
Mhm.
even just speaking or singing over it. So that's kind of like how I approach the vocals, is how can we make this unexpected, I guess.
Yeah, I love that because especially when you said like everyone's like, "Oh, here's the punchline up, breakdown's coming up." Like I
Yeah,
believe that you guys are kind of like taking charge with your own personal sound in the scene that hell like it could inspire a generation where have what Sempiternal did for metalcore, like what you guys do for
yeah,
like this
yeah.
like trap metalcore hybrid. I don't even know what you guys call it.
We don't really put a name to it, really. We're
Yeah.
just making music.
Yeah, I
But
don't really listen to like trap music much, but just like the implementation of like kind of like rapping and beats, like that's just I don't know.
yeah,
I could probably be wrong. I have no clue.
if people call us rap metal or something or trap metal, like I don't really care. Or
Hmm.
new metal core, or I've heard noise core
New
recently.
metal,
Like,
yeah, that's a good
yeah,
one. Yeah.
I don't really like care what it's called as long as
Hmm.
they resonate with the music. And we're always going to be putting the trap and rap elements in our sound. That's just who we are. So, seen some comments online about being like, "Oh, get this garbage out." Well, it's like, well, go listen to another band. I don't really care. I don't
Yeah,
write music for
go
you.
listen to the same metalcore band that's been dropping the exact same sound for 10 years. You know, like I'm
Yeah,
okay with bands sticking to their sound, but I love that there's bands that we're looking at right now, like Sleep Token. They just blew up because they have such an identifiable sound. Loave has been popping off, and
yeah,
I've been call it controversial. I've been loving what Thornhill's been doing.
Yes! Yes!
Like they're doing what they
they're
love, and
great.
I think that's
Yeah,
incredible. And their new single "Obsession" is one of their best songs, you know, and
I think
they're
it is their
talented.
best song. I
Yeah.
think it honestly is their best song.
Mhm.
That's a band we've toured with before, and at the start when they were doing like the Butterfly EP, I know everyone froths over that, but I
Mhm.
feel like their progression has been like they found their character, and I love
Yeah,
that they're just owning that. And who cares what other people think as long as they're happy doing it? They're selling out
exactly.
massive tours now, so they
Yeah.
don't need those people in their
Yeah.
ears.
They're one of the best, most talented bands in the world, straight up, you know, and
Yeah,
that's a great thing about Australia is just that you guys have probably the best scene right now. It
yeah,
just
yeah.
like is
We hear that
popping
all the time.
off.
Well, someone said that to me the other day, and I got really thinking about why it is. And the only thing I could come up with is the fact that there's a lot of competition here because there's not much to go around. There's only a handful of tours, and a tour here is only 5, 6 shows. So
Yeah.
it's really competitive for the local scene to break into. So it kind of weeds out a lot of the bands that probably need to work on their sound a little bit more and maybe come back with like
Wow. Yeah.
a new name or something. So
Mhm.
that's I think it's just really competitive here.
Yeah, I've always thought that competitive nature, but I never really thought of kind of that deeper aspect. That's actually really interesting to hear. Yeah, and you mentioned like with touring, do you guys ever plan or maybe are trying to think about doing a US tour sometime? I know that that's a lot
Yeah.
of money, it's a lot difficult to organize, but like if you
Yeah.
guys come here, I will go to every show. I'll find a way.
It's one of those things where it's been so tough for us because we were supposed to be in Europe in 2020, and everything obviously happened with the pandemic
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So as an Australian band, especially like a young Australian band that's not massive, it
Mhm.
you need to build a resume. We hear this all the time from our labels and friends that have been there. To go to the US is probably the hardest place to tour because the applications to work there and tour, and this I know this is
Mhm.
getting technical for all the listeners, but the reason it's not like we don't want to go there. It's just it's insanely hard to get approved to go there. So
Yeah.
you have to go to Europe first. You have to kind of build up a resume as if you're like the biggest upcoming band, and then
Mhm.
you can go and work in the US. So that there's a bit of a process to it, but when we get there, I'm sure we'll tour 3 months straight. We want to
Yeah.
just stay there and tour back to back and go
Mhm.
again because I feel
Yeah.
like we'd go well in the US.
Hands down. Like especially when you look at a Alpha Wolf, they just started like I think it was like 1, 2 years ago, started hitting like US, and people have been
Yeah,
loving them. I saw them open for Knocked Loose. Like everyone was
yeah,
losing their minds, especially with like
yeah,
your guys breakdowns, which is like a just like that's like the trend. Oh, like people would lose
yeah.
their minds.
Yeah, well, Sabian, like he's one of my best mates actually, and he
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
looks after our band from
That's
Alpha Wolf,
awesome.
and he's been like kind of like a older brother figure for us, helping us out, just with the business side of things in the band. So
Mhm.
it's so good to see their band go well.
Yeah.
I still haven't listened to their new album, but I've seen that they're on tour over
Mhm.
in the States at the moment, touring that, and that's crazy for them to be headlining after 2 years. Like
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah, they blew up quick, and that's what kind of great about metal is that it's getting better. Like
Yeah,
10 years ago, like metalcore bands were popping off, but now there's such a wide array of sound that's going into the mainstream. And I think Angel Killer Zero. I can't speak. I'm so tired, man.
yeah,
I believe that there's some songs on here that I could imagine hearing on the radio or seeing a million of them on the playlist. Like I think you guys definitely have like those deep tracks that are good for the average metal listener, but also for people who kind of need maybe a gateway. My wife, like she just started getting into metal like a year ago, and I showed her like Faded last night. I was like, you have to hear this from this band I'm interviewing, and she like her jaw was dropped, and she like
Oh
she's
wow.
still like new to it, but your sound is just resonating with people who aren't really used to it. And I'm really excited for you guys' future, especially if your branding that is incredible. Like I love every music video, especially like at Semper Metallum, like we've really worked hard on our branding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's always like amazing to see how much effort that you guys put into like your album art, your merch, and those music videos are, I live for them. They're amazing. So
Yeah, I feel like the music videos, even though like it's not groundbreaking and in what they're doing, it's at least it's unique and it's putting something out there that ties well with the music. And
mhm.
Colin Jeffs he's incredible to work with. He's done all of our music videos, and working with him is a breeze. He really understands our branding, so I feel like that's gotten across really well. And that's something that we want to keep doing and pride ourselves on is we always try and step it up with our music videos.
Yeah. Yeah. And that branding, I think, will take you guys far. Like the big aspect is just like having to get into like the expensive side with doing ads. Cause like you probably are aware of like Barone, they've been using like the Spotify like algorithm and stuff, and it's worked for them.
Yeah,
They've blown up. And I
yeah,
think that's definitely ads in general are just an underrated part of it. Cause a lot of people will just release music and just like be like, okay, we finished the album process. Let's go over like sit in the dark
yeah,
for 6 months, and
yeah. That's it. It's hard with some young bands and stuff coming through. They
mhm.
don't really understand. This is the reason why you need labels, and we're signed to two now. It's they do all that advertising and stuff, so I can just focus on the music and the
Yeah.
social media and the creative process. It's a big thing. You need a team these days.
Yeah. Just to move off subject, because we're running out of time a little bit, I want to ask one more question just for people who,
Yeah.
like me, were appealed to this when I first found you guys. But what's your favorite breakdown of the record? I know it's tough because you guys
Oh.
ate it up, but
Oh man, that's a hard one.
you can pick
Okay.
multiple, but it's tough to narrow one down.
I'll pick two.
Mhm.
For only because live at the moment it's so fun to play the Jinx breakdown live.
Oh, yeah,
But
the
we've
tempo
only
change at the end.
yeah
Because I was
yeah
gonna say that, like, that is so creative, and I love it. It's such like it's a breakdown that gets better every time you listen to it. It's so good.
it's definitely a grower, that one. So
Mhm.
that's fun to play live. But my favorite breakdown on the album at the
Mhm.
moment would be the I Don't breakdown, about
Oh
50
yeah,
seconds into the song. I don't know what Braids was doing, man, but that one just hit hard.
yeah.
So
It's
like
incredible. I'm
yeah
like laughing just because every time I hear your breakdowns, I'm like, this is ridiculous. How do they do this?
yeah,
Like he's
yeah. I
honestly like
remember
one of the best in the scene, I swear.
he's crazy. Like I remember he came out of the studio one day after that breakdown, and he showed me and he was like, "Do you know how I did this?" And I was like, "Well, no." He literally got the guitar cable
Mhm.
out and started brushing it on his leg to get some of those sounds, like it's insane feedback, and using the pedals while he was doing that, then putting it back into the guitar and then playing some of it. I was like, "What the hell am I looking at right now?"
Mind blown. Wow. That's incredible. And that's the thing that's
Yeah,
great about the you guys as a band, but also this record is that you guys think outside the box. And like I mentioned earlier, the perfect balance between diversity and cohesiveness. Like it's probably like one of the best listens I've had to a record in years. And the instrumentation is a big part of that. But
cheers, man.
yeah, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything that you want to say about the record before we end it here?
Yeah, if everyone's keen to listen to it, I implore you to listen to it front to back, because I
Mhm.
know it's cliche, but that's how it's intended. Too much these days, kind of people throw one or two songs in their playlist and all of that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And for us, we spent 3 years writing this thing, and every single track has a place, and
It
it's got a
does.
meaning. So
Mhm.
please listen to it front to back, and you might find something in there that you haven't heard before from the singles that you really resonate with. So
Yeah.
yeah, and thanks for listening after all these years. It's crazy.
Yeah. You guys have come a long way, and just the progression of your sound, the things that you've implemented, watching you guys grow as a band, it's been incredible. And like I'm trying not to get emotional, it's because your music, like, I don't know, there's been tough times in my life. It's been tough. And sometimes I need to
Yeah.
let some anger out to your breakdowns, or there's some lyrics that really
Yeah.
hit me. And yeah, like he mentioned, this record, listening it front to back, that's so important. It's very underrated. There's some songs, the way they lead into each other is so graceful and beautiful. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before we started this, and I'm gonna say it here. This, I believe, is Diamond Construct's magnum opus. I believe their self-titled was incredible, but I believe that this is the perfect sequel, almost like it's a movie, you know. You want to
Yeah.
have good world building in this, progression of your sound. You want to have good progression of characters for in this, the, you know, advancing vocals, getting better, like instrumentation,
Yeah.
everything. Like, I believe this is the perfect sequel to an already masterpiece of a debut. Um, and
I
yeah,
appreciate that,
this is
man.
my
Thank you.
favorite album of the year already, and I'm not sure if it can be topped because of how just immersed I've been, and especially gotta say my favorite deep track is Faded. I've listened to that, I
Yeah.
swear to God, like 200 times in 24 hours. Like,
200 times. Save
yeah.
it for when it's on Spotify, bro. We need to
I
run those
know, I
numbers
know.
up.
I promise you, because I was thinking that I was like, I need to stop because I need to play this a million times. It's like I believe that's your guys' best song. Like I just think that it's everything that I love about you guys put into one like three
Yeah.
and a half minute like package, and like I don't know. I feel like that's it for me, you know. So guys,
Thanks,
please go
man.
check out Angel Killer Zero. This record is going to be incredible. Remember, April 26th. And would you like to share your socials and then like Diamond Constructs?
Yeah, yeah. So it's just Instagram is our main platform. It's just
Mhm.
at Diamond Construct. No space, no dots, no nothing there. Facebook is just Diamond Space Construct, but mainly Instagram is our thing. But honestly, run us up on Spotify. That's the best thing that you can do for us is
Yeah.
get those numbers pumping.
100%. Well, guys, thank you for listening, and we hope you can join us for the next interview.